obviously the day I got wounded. And that was, again, out in that Arizona area. We had, I think it was just our company, which was 4 platoons. So, pretty good group of people, 100, 120 maybe. And we'd walk most of the day and set up in an area that's a little bit on the rise, but not much of a hill really. And dug in foxholes in a big perimeter. Sometime in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 or something like that, we started getting attacked. Just small arms and some mortars. I was inside the perimeter because I was carrying the radio, so I was back where the lieutenant and the staff sergeant were. I was probably 30 or 40 yards inside the outer perimeter. And it was a pretty good attack. There was a lot of fire on our side anyway. I don't know what was happening on the other side behind us. We actually had called Puff, which is, or Spooky, they call it different things, but it's a gunship with 3 miniguns on one side. And they fire 6,000 rounds a minute each. And it's like the word of God coming down. It's an awesome sound, and you can imagine 18,000 rounds a minute just chewing up the ground, anywhere around there. And that's the only time I actually saw that ship work. So that was pretty, that felt pretty good to have him out there helping us out. But anyway, we're firing. One of our foxholes did get overrun, and we lost several guys there. I was standing up in the foxhole that probably came up to my waist or something. And, the staff sergeant was running from one foxhole over to the other, over to mine. And he hollered that he was coming, and I stood up and held my arm up to show him where I was. And when I held my arm up, the bullet went through my arm. It was an AK-47, which is what they were firing at us. It felt like just like getting hit by a baseball bat, which I've never had happen to me, but I think that's how it would have felt. Somebody just swinging as hard as they can and just hitting you in the arm, and it spun me around and knocked me down. It didn't hurt too much at the time. I remember that. I was in shock, of course. The staff sergeant jumped in the hole with me then and called for the corpsman. The corpsman got there fairly quickly. He checked it out and put a bandage around the arm, and my arm I didn't have much feeling in the arm by then. But still, it was just numb. It wasn't hurting a lot. Then gave me a shot, and I was still able to stand and everything. Corpsman ran over to the next person. I do remember firing some with my left hand. The rest, but I couldn't aim very well. I just put some rounds out there, and it lasted until almost light. So 5:30 in the morning. Finally, they pulled back, and then we started, determining what had happened. And we had lost several guys in our platoon. Some of the other platoons had lost a few. So the helicopters started coming in. Oh, toward the end of the thing, after the firing had died down, I'm laying in the bottom of the foxhole. And a guy came running over and jumped in the foxhole and landed right in my chest. I remember that. So the helicopters started coming in when it got daylight, and it was safe for them to come in to pick up the dead and wounded. I had to Well, of course, you know, I knew I was going back to the rear. Had to give the radio to somebody else to carry, and gave somebody else my rifle. And I had stuff in my pack. I mean, I didn't take any of that stuff with me. I mean, I had an NBA flag and various things that I had over the months that for souvenirs, and so I lost all. Somebody else took that home. But I remember sitting. I was walking, okay, and I remember standing there waiting for the helicopter to load up, and we had two guys from Guam in our platoon, cousins. One big guy and one little guy. The little guy was called Chop Chop. That was his nickname. And here came the big guy carrying his cousin in his arms. His cousin was dead. And just tears running down his face. I'll never forget that one. They put us on the helicopter, and you don't even have time to. I mean, these are guys that that you die for, and you don't even have time to tell her goodbye. But we got on the helicopter, and it was only 25 minutes into Da Nang. I'm sitting up, a bunch of guys are lying down. I don't remember an awful lot about after we got there. They took us off, put us on stretchers. I remember them cutting their clothes off, checking all over for wounds in case you didn't remember somewhere you'd been hit or something. The triage part that your dad asked about, all I really remember is an area where they laid us on stretchers. It seemed like it wasn't even inside the place, but I'm not sure. And cut our clothes off and checking things and check where I was bandaged and all. And then sort of set you to one side based on, if you were in bad shape or not. And of course, I wasn't in bad shape, so it was a while before they took me in. They took care of the other guys. And then I don't remember, of course, they operated and put a drain through my arm, coming out both sides, and bandaged it up, bandaged up the whole arm. I'm starting to get some pain by then. I guess the adrenaline's wearing off by then. But they had plenty of medicine there.